Hello everyone, and today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic. Based on all the latest leaks, we realize that the new episode is very soon, and we just need to talk about how our characters will turn into abstracted monsters. After all, it will happen to some of them. There are many theories about this, but my favorite is that the abstracted characters didn't really die, but managed to escape, even though to everyone else in the circus it looks like the character no longer exists in the real or digital world. But before we start our video, we want to tell you a little bit about Kaufmo, because we need it for further understanding. Kaufmo was a clown who was always trying to cheer up the other inhabitants of the digital circus, but they just let him know that Kaufmo didn't think he was funny, which made him depressed. But at some point he started going crazy, always talking about a way out, which made everyone treat him even worse. And in the end, you know what happened. We start now, and you do not forget to subscribe to the channel, put a like and write a comment. Since there have been many such incidents before Kaufmo, and we still don't know the exact reason why characters turn into abstracted monsters, it's very likely that Kinger will be the next one to be abstracted. Even some other characters talk about it, like Zubul, who was sure that Kinger would be the first to be abstracted. However, the situation turned out differently, and the first to be abstracted was not Kinger, but Kaufmo. Kinger has been in this circus the longest, and this is one of the factors that may have influenced his madness. And the fact that a person from the real world has joined the digital circus is already a very strong stress factor that not everyone can resist. And maybe his broken psyche could be influenced by the loss of his wife. The mystery of the Black Queen is still unknown to us. How is she connected to Kinger? Are these characters connected or not? We don't know yet, but the hints given by the authors are quite interesting. What's a Black Queen when all the characters are completely different? It's not like they all turn into chess pieces. Each image corresponds to the character's personality and maybe his inner state or his affiliation to something. About Kinger, we know for sure that he is constantly panicking or afraid of everything. Not even that he is panicking or afraid, but that he just behaves quite inappropriately even in the calmest situations. Kinger can talk about something and then suddenly forget what he was talking about, or he can go into himself for a while and not notice the people around him and then get scared. In general, Kinger is definitely an unstable person. I repeat that we do not know exactly how the characters can abstract and what exactly happened to Kaufmo the clown. But if we take such a factor as insanity, Kinger may be on the line and we may not see him in the next screensaver. The next person I want to talk about is Zubul. As strange as it sounds, she might be the one who gets abstracted in the next episode, or even the next one after Kaufmo, because we don't know in which episode it might happen. It's ironic because she said that Kinger will be the first one it will happen to. Zubul has the most complex personality of all the inhabitants of the digital circus. She certainly doesn't panic like Kinger. Not to say she behaves inappropriately, but she is very rude, grumpy, and irritable. She doesn't really like where she is, and Zubul clearly wants to get out of the circus. But because she doesn't know how to do that, her tension grows and her mental health suffers as a result. Remember how I said that every character is out of something, but not Zubul, and that might be because of her inner world, because Zubul doesn't know who she is. In general, all the characters here don't remember their names, and probably don't remember their previous lives, but they show up in the digital circus with something to identify themselves with. Obviously, Zubul had or has a big identity problem, because not only did she forget who she was, she didn't even know it. And as I understand it, Zubul has this condition all the time, which can be a serious factor for abstraction, because while someone is a happy clown who tells jokes all the time, someone is a frightened member of the royal family or a chess fan, and someone is just an animal. Zubul doesn't know what she is, and the sad thing is, that's exactly how she feels. And eventually, Zubul may just get tired of it all and make the only decision she thinks is right, to turn into an abstracted monster. After Kinger and Zubul, our ragged Ragatha could be next. After all, there were already signs that she was slowly going insane, and it affected the abstracted character as well. Despite the fact that Kane was able to cure her in the first stage of the glitch, the residue on her psyche will clearly stay with her forever, because Ragatha has experienced the pain that the rest of the characters feel at the moment of abstraction. At best, Ragatha should have her memory erased, but as Kane himself said, the mind is one of the few things he can't control. It may be for the best, but the consequences are clearly ahead of Ragatha, especially since she's acting like she's not who she says she is. Ragatha is an optimistic character, kind, reasonable, and sensible, but there is a touch of madness at times, which makes it seem as if Ragatha is just trying to act normal, when in fact she is thinking in a completely different way. We don't know for sure if she can keep it up, and what will happen to her if she breaks down and shows her true mental state. A similar situation could happen with Jax. It's unlikely, but we can't know for sure because we don't have access to more plot. But Jax himself may not turn out to be the cool guy we see in the pilot. He may be an insecure and damaged kid at heart who makes jokes, and not just jokes, and openly mocks the weak in order to create an illusion of coolness around him. And all of this mask that Jax hides behind can come off in an instant. His behavior is just a psychological defense. He doesn't care about others, and he doesn't even hide it. He may just be pretending to be cool, and this is evidenced by his bullying of the weak. All of this tells us that all it will take for Jax to be abstracted is an accident. An accident that causes Jax to drop his mask of toughness and become afraid. It is when Jax realizes that he is as helpless as the rest of the inhabitants of the digital circus, and it is at that moment that he can go mad, and his fate is already predetermined. It seems that Gangle has more chances to go crazy than Jax, but on the other hand, she never hid her true feelings, and still doesn't. You can see that she never panics and almost never cries. She's just sad all the time, literally all the time. All because her mask of comedy has shattered, and only the mask of tragedy remains. Whether she can change these masks as faces, or whether she puts one mask on top of another is still unknown, but if she could change her face, it would obviously affect her mood. However, it seems that her real face is the mask of tragedy. Then how can the Gangle dissipate? Actually, the trigger could be more bullying behavior on Jax's part. Maybe one day it will be the last straw for her, and eventually she'll just want to run away, go away, dissolve, be abstracted, just so it doesn't happen to her again. Because she just can't take it anymore. But that can only happen if no one stands up for her. And of course, nobody can rule out the possibility that something like this could happen to Pomni herself. On the one hand, it might seem impossible, because she is the main character, but someone might say that in Amazing Digital Circus there might be a bad ending, which will result in either the death of the main character or her abstraction. We'd have to find out what abstraction is. Let's say abstraction is exit or abstraction is madness. In the first case, it's kind of a good ending, because Pomni will be able to get out of the digital hell, but in the second case, Pomni turns into a monster, which is not so happy. In other contexts, it is hard to abstract her, because if you use logic and think about it, it could have happened at the beginning. When you tell her that, she also starts to go crazy, because she keeps trying to convince herself that it's all a dream, and Pomni keeps talking about some kind of exit. Also, the situation in the secret room and the very end of the pilot episode of Amazing Digital Circus scream to us that Pomni has started to go crazy. But we can't say for sure how far it can go, but theoretically we can say that Pomni, along with others, can finally go crazy against the background of the constantly flickering door, as well as not understanding why no one believes her. Well, and we can't really consider an abstract candidate like Kane. You may think this is complete nonsense, but let me explain my point of view. As we saw in the trailer for Digital Circus, Kane was once an ordinary person like everyone else, but at some point his consciousness was deliberately transported into digital space. And so, despite all his responsibilities and the tasks and conditions he needs, Kane wants to return to the real world just like everyone else. Like Pomni, he knows that there is a way out of this circus, but he can't find it. Maybe because he is under constant surveillance and any wrong action will lead to his death, or because the main creator decides that he doesn't need an administrator like Kane anymore, and writes a computer code that will turn Kane into abstracted monster. Of course, this is practically impossible, but for the fun of it, why not tell you about it? Well, this is the end of our video. Write in the comments your theories about who could be the next abstracted character and how it will happen to him. Well, at this point, it's time to wish you success and good luck, and see you soon in new videos.